Hey everyone. Lately my feed has been full of videos about COD streamers critiquing Battlefield 6. Videos with Battle Royale demands, don't nerf the movement complaints, Battlefield community firing back about how COD players don't understand Battlefield. You know the drill. Okay, cool. But there's something I've noticed about these videos that's actually absent from them. So, here's my 2 cents, minus the tribal war. I'm interested in your take, though, so tell me what you think below. If you set a controller in front of someone who's never touched a shooter and told them Call of Duty and Battlefield are basically the same game, they'd probably believe you for about 15 seconds. Both are first-person shooters. Both have an allotment of assorted weapons. Both give you objectives to chase. After that, though, they disagree about almost everything that matters. Now, this isn't a who's better sermon. I mean, it could be, and I'm sure there's plenty of you out there that will be more than happy to have that sermon. But no, this is an anatomy lesson. What these series actually have in common, where they diverge, what their objectives ask you to do, and why players who try to play one like the other tend to end up miserable. And this is what I've noticed that's absent from a lot of the videos I've been watching. So, what do these two franchises share? Well, if you strip the logos off, the skeletons look pretty familiar. I mean, to the untrained eye, they look the same at first glance, right? If someone's never played either title, they wouldn't know the difference between the two within 10 seconds of watching. That's the perspective and verbs part of this whole thing. First-person view, you aim, you move, time your shots, manage recoil if there's any recoil, and manipulate sightlines. Then there's the progression wrap, the seasonal unlocks, skins, attachments, cosmetics, all the things that keep you queuing in every day. Let's not forget the objective modes do exist in both. Neither series is just team deathmatch. You can capture and or defend sectors, you can plant bombs, and yes, there's team deathmatch. And if you stop there, of course they look identical. But a car with an automatic transmission and a car with a manual transmission both have engines and wheels. That doesn't mean you drive them the same way. Let's be honest. If you're comparing Battlefield and Call of Duty based on guns alone, you're missing the point. Sure, both have assault rifles, snipers, and shotguns, and sidearms. But the real difference isn't in the weapon. It's how the battlefield itself behaves. So let's shift focus. Forget the guns for a second. Think about how the game world moves, how it breathes, and how it pushes you to make decisions. Think scale, geometry, pressure, and tools. Call of Duty is a game of tight loops. You're dropped into 6v6 or 10v10 matches where the action is constant. Every few seconds, you're making decisions, peek, shoot, rotate, and repeat. You win by controlling lanes and recycling power positions every, 10 to 20 seconds? Battlefield, however, especially with Battlefield 6 returning to 64-player matches, is a game of segments and systems. You're not just fighting over a stupid hallway. You're managing entire map zones, routes between sectors, verticality, vehicle paths, and spawn logic all matter. Decisions take longer, but their impact spreads wider. So a simple translation? Call of Duty is a sprint between strong corners. Battlefield is a relay race between strong areas. And that's a big difference right there, right? I mean, how many COD players look at their maps and go, we need to hold this AoE? Nah, not many. Most COD players land in their areas, see it taken over, and quickly move on to the next AoE. In Battlefield, though, sometimes you have to hold an area. Metro comes to mind. If you hold the middle area in Metro, you controlled the map. Tell me I'm wrong. Then we have map geometry. COD leans into laned maps, predictable sightlines, planned power positions, deliberate chokes. Knowing the good head glitch is half the fight. Battlefield leans into open networks, multiple capture points, long flanks, terrain that can hide vehicles or squads, and lines of sight that change as buildings break. The end result? In COD, you win by owning a line. In Battlefield, you win by owning a polygon. Oh, And we have win condition pressures as well. For Call of Duty, kills fuel streaks. Streaks break holds. Holds win the mode. Even non-team deathmatch modes route pressure through personal momentum. And Battlefield? Objectives drains tickets. Kills matter, but mostly as a time tax. They slow or accelerate ticket flow. Objective possession rewrites where the next fight happens. Each game has its own toolboxes as well. With Call of Duty, you have perks, field upgrades, lethal tactical streaks. The kit amplifies your gunfight tempo. For Battlefield, it's gadgets, vehicles, revives, spawn beacons. The kit manipulates space and time. That's your mobility, your concealment, spawn economy, and denial. Even the information varies between the two series. With COD, there's intel streaks, minimap pings on unsuppressed fire, UAV sweeps. The radar is a scoreboard for lane control. In contrast, Battlefield has spotting systems, squad intel. Some titles had some variation of a Battlefield commander which gave overhead optics. Information is messier, sure, but it tells you where the fronts are coming from. Map destruction is massively different as well. In COD, it's mostly static. Okay, sure, some windows and props can break, but lanes remain the lanes. In Battlefield, however, walls collapse, cover erodes based on variable conditions, sightlines open mid-match. The map is a living witness. If a wall is gone, someone made it disappear. Even though both franchises have a buffet of modes, the objective grammar is different. For Call of Duty, let's look at Team Deathmatch. First to score. Kills are the objective. Domination, hardpoint, or control. Control points rotate or remain static. Kills translate to streaks that help you hold or break those points. With Search and Destroy, one life, plant or defuse, every peak is a contract. Warzone for your Battle Royale people. Last team standing. Macro decisions matter, but the cadence is still duel-centric. The key behavior? Smart teams treat kills as enablers. You build streaks, then you use them to win lanes or hills. The best are stingy with deaths when flips are likely. Reckless when a break is needed now. Battlefield's objective grammar? Well, let's look at Conquest. Hold more flags, the enemy's tickets bleed faster. Deaths cost respawns, but flags dictate the bleed. A squad that chains A to B to C changes the math, even with average aim. With breakthrough sector modes, attackers capture a series of sectors, defenders trade tickets for time. Vehicles and smoke dictate entries, revives keep waves coherent. With Rush, you have arm and defend objectives, gadgets and mobility decide timing windows just as much as shooting. Your key behavior? Smart team treats flags as funnels. You create a window to capture. That's with smoke, revive chains, body blocking, vehicle distraction. Then cache the map. Kills happen as a byproduct of owning space. The big difference between COD and Battlefield is this. In COD, kills often enable objectives. In Battlefield, objectives enable kills. COD ceiling is mostly micro. Snap aim, timing, pre-aim routes, spawn knowledge, streak discipline. You could solo solve a lot of the round by chaining smart picks and well-timed streaks. Battlefield ceiling is mostly macro. Rotation judgment, vehicle timing and positioning, spotting discipline, squad roles, and survival decisions that keep waves intact. You can't solo solve the whole round. You shape it so your side caches the next minute. That doesn't mean COD lacks macro or Battlefield lacks micro. It means each series rewards one more than the other. The player with God-tier crosshair placement can still drown in Battlefield by choosing the wrong route. The player with average mechanics can still top a Battlefield scoreboard by choosing the right jobs, whether that's transport or revive chains or beacon placement or angle denial. COD mechanics tend to lead to solo lone wolf types, while Battlefield leans towards team play. I've seen a lot of game footage for both. As an example of team play, support class for Battlefield helps stem the ticket bleed by reviving. That's their main job. Kills for support is secondary. This is why Battlefield players roasted a lot of COD players wearing the support class, not reviving them. This is why Battlefield suggests to you to play the objective. If you wear support, you're telling your team and your squad you'll pick them up if they're nearby. When you were literally standing there, right there, and the player next to you is asking for a revive and you don't revive them, then you're being an asshole. COD players enters Battlefield and hunt for constant duels. They bleed tickets by trading in the open, ignore mobility, and wonder why the scoreboard doesn't move. They're winning fights that the round doesn't care about. Battlefield players enter COD and tries to control map space like it's Conquest. The mode doesn't pay the rent. They miss rotations, they lose the hills by a second, and think streaks are cheap instead of earned. Neither is a moral failing, though. It's muscle memory pointed at the wrong target. Even the class system is different between the two franchises. In Battlefield, classes define a player's core role and are built for team play. The defined roles are Assault, Support, Engineer, and Recon, and each class has specific tasks. For example, a medic or support is the primary healer, while an engineer handles vehicles and explosive devices. Then there's the weapon restriction. Historically, each class was restricted to certain weapon types. For instance, Assault might get assault rifles, while Support is limited to LMGs. This was changed in Battlefield 2042, but was reversed after negative feedback from fans for the upcoming Battlefield 6. Battlefield is designed around those specialized roles. A squad's success depends on the synergy of having different classes working together, such as a recon player spotting enemies for an assault player to attack. Classes like the Engineer are essential for dealing with the game's vehicular combat by using anti-tank weapons or repairing friendly vehicles. Call of Duty has a Create a Class system, which is customizable. In Call of Duty, the Create a Class system offers deep customizations for individual players, allowed for a more fluid, fast-paced playstyle. Players create their own classes or loadouts by picking a primary and a secondary weapon, attachments, perks, and equipment. In recent titles like Modern Warfare from 2019, the Gunsmith system allowed for extensive modification for each weapon. Players can add up to 5 attachments, which significantly alters the weapon's stats and handling. Perks play a critical role in defining a player's individual abilities, such as being able to carry an extra attachment or running faster. More recent games like Black Ops 4 experimented with special abilities for characters, the specialists, but unlike in Battlefield, they are tied to a specific character rather than a broader class. These are often purely cosmetic in titles like Warzone, where operators can be swapped without affecting gameplay. If you come from COD to go into Battlefield, stop taking every shot you're offered. Noise and tracers burn your flanks. Wait for another gunfight or gunfire to mask your push. Vehicle is mobility first. Remember that from your team and the opposition. Use it to reposition your squad. Hunting kills gets you see forward and out of the fight. Smoke is currency. Spend it to create 10 seconds of sight denial, not to save one ego peak. Revives are compound interest. A wave that stays alive gets a second push without a delayed respawn reset. Use beacons transport to right the next fight. Spawns decide where the lobby collides. If you come from Battlefield and you're going into COD, get religious about rotations. Commit to a lane, lock it, and leave early to the next hill. Treat streaks like utility, not dopamine. Use them where they flip probability, not where they look cool. Map control is a lane and a timing window. Guard the doorway that must use now, not the interesting flank that could be used later. Live for 10 seconds at a time. That's the whole sport. Every pub has 3 reliable human bugs you can farm. The first is greed peaks. Players repeat the same angle right after you punish them. In COD, there's a free second pick. In Battlefield, that's a free window to cross something dangerous. Next up, revenge routes. Players return along the path they died on. In Conquest, that tells you which lane is about to get noisy. In Domination, it tells you where the next trade stack is coming from. And lastly, hero system. Someone always sprints to be the hero instead of trading time. Think Leroy Jenkins. In Battlefield, you punish it by stalling. In COD, you punish it by holding pre-aim and letting the hill tick. Understanding modes is geometry. Understanding pubs is anthropology. The two systems separate Battlefield from almost every other first-person shooter: destruction and spawn fronts. Destruction is more than spectacle. When a wall drops, a sightline opens. When cover erodes, your team's best head glitch evaporates. Good Battlefield squads treat buildings like consumables. Burn this one to deny them, protect that one to keep your beacon alive. The map records the last few minutes of decision whether you saw them or not. Again, tell me I'm wrong. Spawn fronts tell you where the fight wants to be. If your team is spawning behind the intended front, you're already late. If you're spawning ahead because of a beacon or transport, you get to choose where the next collision happens. A lot of "we were getting farm" stories are really "we spawned at the wrong side of geometry" stories. COD has versions of these ideas, the spawn logic, destructible props, but they're not the match's spine. In Battlefield, they are the spine. Let's provide some real examples here. Same player, 2 games, same instinct. For COD Hardpoint, 6v6. A player looks down the sights, takes out 2 enemies, uses their streak, captures the current scoring zone from the side your team controls, then leaves with about 20 seconds left to get into position to the next zone. That player or team never owns the map. They own 13 meters that matter now. In Battlefield, like Conquest, the player would pop a smoke grenade, drop a beacon behind a crate, revive 2 teammates to keep the wave intact, and capture a sector that opens a transport route to the next. You didn't farm a montage, you moved a front. In both cases, you were right. In one, you were right for a lane. In the other, you were right for a space. Again, 2 different mechanics for 2 different games. One doesn't reward the other. If you play by Battlefield rules in Call of Duty, you're not going to do as well if you were playing Battlefield rules in Battlefield. The same is for Call of Duty. If you play Call of Duty rules in Battlefield, you're not going to do very well. Here's some myths players can find themselves in. Battlefield is team deathmatch with flags. If you ignore that, you're playing a different game no one else queued for. Call of Duty has no teamwork. Rotations, anchors, and hill timing are teamwork. They're just faster and more explicit. Vehicles are broken. They're terrifying when teams are disorganized. They're manageable when teams coordinate smoke, disables, and angles. If your plan is to shoot AR at tank, of course you're tilted. Only aim matters. Ugh, God. Aim matters everywhere. In Battlefield, aim without mobility and revive discipline just makes a nice kill feed before the ticket math smothers you. Tell me I'm wrong. Choosing your knight. Now, you don't have to marry one or the other. Pick one based on the kind of problem you want to solve. If you want immediate dual loops and satisfying repeatable routes, that's a COD knight. Master a lane. Keep your death stingy. Think in 10-second windows. If you want logistics, flanks, and a match that breathes between explosions, that's a Battlefield knight. Move a front, chain objectives, think in 60-second windows. If you play one like the other, you're going to hate it. If you play each one for what it's built to test, both make sense. Here's a simple, brutal checklist, and one you can actually use. We'll use the objective modes for Call of Duty. Am I leaving early to the next hill point? Am I anchoring or braking? And does my route match that job? Did I use a streak to flip odds, not to chase dopamine? Did I die in the last 10 seconds of a critical hold? If yes, you probably threw a rotation. For Battlefield, did we prevent a ticket bleed or just donate bodies? Is there a beacon or transport creating spawns where we need them? Did I revive the wave and keep it coherent? Which flag actually changes ticket math? Hint. It isn't always the most obvious every time. Carry that card, and you'll stop losing rounds and your kill death swears you deserve. Why this comparison matters even if you only play one or the other? Well, it matters even if you only play one title or the other and not both, because understanding why a game frustrates you lets you pick better nights and build better habits. If you're a Call of Duty player tired of random deaths, Battlefield teaches you patience and route discipline. If you're a Battlefield player tired of nobody plays the objective, a few weeks of COD will teach you to own a timing window with a level of precision Battlefield rarely demands. And if you're a creator, or just someone who cares about the health of these games, knowing the difference helps you talk about them without falling into the same 3 tried and tired talking points about time to kill, skill gap, and dead game that clog every timeline. Call of Duty and Battlefield share guns, cameras, and a business model. After that, they're solving different problems. Call of Duty asks, can you own a lane for 10 seconds? Battlefield asks, can you own a space for 60? And both games are designed that way on purpose. Players and content creators should stop trying to make them the same. If you want clips or kill streaks, play Call of Duty. If you want to play with a team, play Battlefield. At the end of the day, playing video games is supposed to do 2 things. Improve your skill, whether that's hand-eye coordination, decision-making, or cognitive skills. With enough practice, these things should make a player better. And most importantly, playing video games, or any game for that matter, is supposed to be fun. So it's up to the player to understand the rules of the game and have fun within those rules. This is what the Battlefield community means by not wanting COD players to ruin Battlefield. This is what the Battlefield community means by playing the objectives. I hope you found this video interesting and informative. Did I leave anything out? Let me know in the comments section. Please hit the like and sub buttons, and I'll see you in the next one.